Hear Yisrael, Yahweh Eloheinu, Yahweh Echad. Shema Yisrael, Yahweh Eloheinu. Shema Yisrael, Yahweh Eloheinu, Yahweh Echad. Yes. Shema Yisrael, Yahweh Eloheinu. Shema Yisrael, Yahweh Eloheinu, Yahweh Echad. Won't you hear Yisrael? Shema.
Rabbi Simjo. You see before us the symbols of Havdalah. Havdalah comes from the Hebrew word which means separation or differentiation. And because of time, I did want to say this. It will seem in this world that we are experiencing a separation, but we know that that's an illusion. But unfortunately, we live in a material world of time-space continuum in which time does exist. And so we will experience a separation from the Holy Shabbat and go into the first day of the week and experience the illusion, the apparent separation. So we have the braided candle, symbolizing the oneness. For us as believers, being joined together in the Moshiach, the Shabbat, the Moedim, we became one in Him and with Him, and He is the light of the world. We have a spice box of cloves and cinnamon, which remind us of the sweetness of the Shabbat. And of course, we have the wine, which is symbolic of the joys of the Shabbat. And at the end, we will sing Eliyahu Hanavi and greet one another with Shavua Tov. Behold, Yahweh is my salvation. I will trust and not be afraid. For Yahweh my Elohim is my strength and my song, and He also has become my salvation. With joy you shall draw forth water from the springs of salvation. Salvation is Yahweh's. Upon your people be your blessing. Selah. Yahweh Zavaot is with us. A stronghold for us is the Elohim of Yaakov. Selah. Yahweh Zavaot, praised is the man who trusts in you. Yah save, and may the King answer us on the day when we call. For Israel had light and gladness and joy and honor. So may it be for us. And I will lift up the cup of salvation and call upon the name of Yahweh. Baruch atah Yahweh, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Amen. We open the spices. As we say the bracha, we smell the spices to remind us of the sweetness of Shabbat, and also to ease the loosening of our connection with Hashemayim. Baruch atah Yahweh, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei minei besamim. Amen. And now, look at the candle. It is our custom that we hold our fingernails up to the candle to view them. Notice we have 5 fingers held up to the candle for the 5 books of the Torah. But not only that, but we're concentrating on our fingernails, which is the only thing left of our original creation, because they are transparent, so we're able to see them in the light of the fire. Baruch atah Yahweh, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei mo'orei ha'esh. Amen. Blessed are you, Yahweh, our Elohim, King of the universe, who makes a distinction between the holy and the secular, light and darkness, Israel and the Goyim, the 7th day and the 6 days of labor. Baruch atah Yahweh, hamavil bein kodesh l'chol. Blessed are you, Yahweh, who makes a distinction between the set apart and the profane. Go out of Shabbat. Come speedily in our day. HaMoshiach Yeshua HaMelech Israel. Shavua Tov.
chapter 11 and verse 60. I have a lot to cover. For if the bikurim is set apart, the lump is also set apart. If the root is set apart, so are the branches or the Netzarim. Again, I'll be preaching for a few hours since I know no one's hungry. So are the Netzarim. So are the Netzarim. If the bikurim is set apart, the lump is also set apart. If the root is set apart, so are the branches and Netzarim set apart. I'm going to go quickly because we really have a limited amount of time. The bikurim here in Romans 11:16 are for sure the patriarchs of Israel. They were set apart. And in the olive tree parable, Rav Shaul is saying, if they are set apart, then their seed is also set apart, because their zerah, their seed, we learned about that this morning in Rabbi Asker's teaching, their seed is like them, both in their walk and in what they believe. We are the Netzarim, the branches. If the bikurim, Abraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov are set apart, we also are set apart because we walk like they do, we talk like they do, and we believe what they believe. Abraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov were physical and spiritual Jews, right? Wrong. They were physical and spiritual Yisrael, Hebrews, Ivrim, first. They were a remnant in the earth. And in case you hadn't noticed, so are we. They were the first faith-filled branches, Netzarim, because the vine is the same. They were the first faith, they'll say that fast, Moshe. They were the first faith-filled branches, Netzarim, of the same olive tree as we are, the latter-day Netzarim, who are of the same tree. We are grafted in among them, according to verse 17. Romans 11:17. If some of the branches were broken off, and you being a wild olive tree were grafted in among them, and with them you partake of the root and fatness of the olive tree. You partake of the root and the fatness. The them in verse 17 are again the bikurim, or the early Ivrim Avot, fathers. And the early bikurim, Netzarim, were not our early forefathers Netzarim, were they not? Weren't they branches in the olive, what would become the olive tree? Huh? Correct? So they were Netzarim, they were the former Netzarim, or the early Netzarim. We are the latter-day Netzarim. We are like them. We are like them, both the way we believe and both physically being Yisrael. But like them, we also share the same root and the same fatness. Look at verse 17. If some of the branches are broken off, and you being a wild olive tree were grafted in among them, and with them you partake, turn to your neighbor and say, take part. Take part. Let's try that again. Partake. Partake. If you take part with them of the root and the fatness, then you are like them. The root and the fatness, and we're going to go quickly because of the time. Yeshayahu, according to Yeshayahu 11:10, Yeshua is the root of Yishai. Yeshayahu 53:2, Yeshua will grow out as a root out of dry ground. Revelation 22:16, he is both the root and the offspring of David. We know Yeshua is the root. The fatness, what do you think that would be? We learned the other night that evangelism has to be done according to Yeshayahu 8:20, which is according to the light and the testimony. Or Yeshua and Yeshua, the resurrection, testimony, and the Torah. So what might the fatness be? If the root is, was, and always will be Yeshua, what might the fatness be? Very good. Torah. Torah. So Abraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov were nourished by the same root and the same fatness that we are nourished by. Meaning, they were Netzarim like we are. And they believed and hoped for the same things that we do. Baruch Hashem Yah. The fatness are the teachings of Torah, which were also Yeshua's teachings. How many know Yeshua did not come to author a catechism class? Yeshua came to teach his Father's teaching and implanted deep in our hearts. The olive tree was not planted, we'll quickly so take notes. The olive tree was not planted by the patriarchs or by the Jews, but by Yahweh. Go to Yirmiyahu 11. Yirmiyahu 11. Again, this message, so are the Netzarim. So are the Netzarim. Yirmiyahu 11:16. Yahweh asked Menachem Begin, name the tree. Is that what it says? You got some of you shaking your heads. Yahweh called your name. A green olive tree fair with tow fruit. But with the noise of a great tumult, he has set fire upon it, and its branches are broken. That typo will be fixed in the second edition. For Yahweh of hosts that planted you has, who planted? Yahweh. Who named? Yahweh. So is it a Jewish tree that the wild olive branches are grafted into? No, it's Yahweh's tree, and he alone has the authority to define what composes that tree. Is anyone listening? Yahweh named it, Yahweh planted it, and Yahweh can determine its future. Yahweh can determine its future. And he has determined that all the branches will be broken off, because evil has been pronounced against it, the evil of Beit Israel and Beit Yehudah, which they have done against themselves to provoke me to anger in offering incense to Baal or the Lord. Go get it out of your vocabulary. Now, Yahweh says, I named it, I planted it, and I will cut it off. So either Rav Shaul didn't know Jeremiah and needed Messianic Judaism to define the olive tree, or he did know what the olive tree was, and by Yahweh's definition, it is both houses of Israel. And the Jewish branches, when they walk like the what? The Bikurim, Netzarim, they remain in the tree. When they don't walk like Abraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, the first Netzarim branches, the Bikurim Netzarim, what does Yahweh do? He cuts them off. So that both the cultivated and the uncultivated in the olive tree are both Israel. If you're grafted in and you're not Jewish Israel, you are an wild olive branch, grafted in, you're not a pumpkin pie picked up at Walmart's. Turn to your neighbor and say, you don't look like you were picked up at Walmart. You can't buy royalty on a shelf. As we learned this morning, royalty is birthed through the loins of the righteous Bikurim Netzarim. Oh, Rabbi, there's this new movement. Why can't we just be Messianic? Because according to this, Abraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov were Bikurim Netzarim. They were both the first fruits and the branches. So what's wrong with being called Bikurim Netzarim? What's wrong with that? We are both, Yahweh calls us Bikurim and Netzarim, as he called our patriarchal fathers Bikurim and Netzarim. Make sense? I know it does. Baruch Hashem Yahweh. End-time Israelites who are also Netzarim Bikurim are Israel regardless of which house they come from. Yahweh planted it, he owns the tree, he desires to own the end-time Bikurim. If and as they resemble, listen, if and as they resemble the earlier Bikurim. So that all the branches in the olive tree are, very important, are both Bikurim and Netzarim. Write it down. All the branches are both Bikurim and Netzarim. Baruch Hashem Yahweh. This understanding fulfills the key Torah law and principle of Kilayim. Kilayim states that in a field of an Israelite or in a garden, that in any kind of a harvest, there cannot be two seeds sown of a different kind, and neither can two seeds of a different kind be harvested. I say that again. The Torah principle of Kilayim states that in your field you cannot sow two different seeds of a different kind, and if you cannot sow two different seeds, neither can you harvest two different kinds of crop. Meaning everyone in the olive tree is not Jew and Gentile, but need Mashiach. I'm not buying, sell it to someone else. You reject it. I make a rejection. Because if the olive tree is Jew and lucky to be around Gentile, lucky to be around, the Jews are letting you in, you're lucky to be around. Well, guess what? The Torah is not true. The Yahweh said, I cannot let you harvest fruit with two different kinds of fruit coming forth from the same tree. So, I mean, here's the good news. Everybody's Israel, regardless of how you got there. If you got there through Yehuda, through Ephraim, or you really have no Israelite blood, which means you're only about 1 or 2 billion out of 6 billion, the chances are very little. Welcome home. You still grafted in and become the olive tree. Who is defined by what is what. The body of Yeshua is renewed covenant Israel, therefore all its members are Israelites. Who is defined by what is what. If the body of believers are renewed covenant Yisrael, then all its branches also are Yisrael.
Yes.
Write it down. Who is defined by what is what. And what is the olive tree. And you and I are the who. Turn to your neighbor and say, we're the who. Turn to your neighbor and say, well, we don't even come from London. So the Torah forbids, yes, our generation, amen. The Torah forbids mixing things. And I'm going to turn to the scriptures. Vayikra 19:19, Devarim 22:9, Bereshit 1:11. Bear seed of its own kind. Israelite seed is all that is in the olive tree. We learned that again this morning. It gets no seed from outside sources. Yeshua is our older brother who begot us according to his kind. We are begotten again by the resurrection of Yeshua to a living hope from the dead. Amen. To an inheritance undefiled, incorruptible, that fadeth not away, reserved in heaven for you. In heaven for you. Baruch Hashem Yahweh.